The next witness is Ellen Oxman.
You must look in the mirror.
Sir, I'm going to ask you to refrain unless you want to step out.
I'm giving you this because I believe you asked for some statistics, and I actually don't.
Can you give it to Mr. Carr in the back of the room? He distributes things for us. He's our liaison. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Ellen Oxman. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly allow me to read the pivotal sentence from both this Commission's March 30th, 2015 press release and its official mission statement. Among the issues to be studied by the Commission on statewide attorney discipline are whether New York's departmental-based system leads to regional disparities in the implementation of discipline, if conversion to a statewide system is desirable, and how to achieve dispositions more quickly in an effort to provide much-needed closure to both clients and attorneys. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an elephant in the room today, and that elephant is this. You can make the rules uniform across the state, you can dispose of complaints quicker, you can tweak the rules all you want, but if the rules are not followed, it won't solve the problem. I'm sorry? The problem, and let's state it clearly, that there is no oversight of the attorney disciplinary committees nor of the Commission on Judicial Conduct, and this has led to well-documented corruption. In fact, overwhelming evidence of corruption. They simply don't follow the rules when they don't want to, and there's nothing to be done about it. It's an open secret that these offices have been run in a rogue manner to target or protect select attorneys. The documentation starts at least as early as the Murphy Report in 1989, when Judge Murphy, the chief judge of the First Department at that time, fired 2 top disciplinary committee executives for, among other charges, falsifying timesheets, whitewashing well-substantiated claims against favored attorneys, targeting out-of-favor attorneys, warehousing complaints instead of addressing them, and using quota systems to arbitrarily close cases to the detriment of complainants and justice. This kind of corruption continues today and is much worse. I'm sorry, can you not hear me? Am I going too fast? Oh. 20 years later, we heard the same types of stories at Senator Sampson's 2009 hearings. Although consumers, attorneys, and judges traveled from near and far to testify about corruption in these offices, I being one at that time, the hearings were halted without explanation, the verbal testimony relegated to YouTube, the submitted documentation warehoused or simply discarded. No report was ever generated by the Senate Judiciary Committee who heard this testimony. The Judiciary Committee's 2009 annual report makes no mention of the hearings having even taken place. Dead silence in response to overwhelming evidence of corruption. These 2 offices, the Attorney Disciplinary Committees, the subject of today's hearing, and its counterpart, the Committee on Judicial Conduct, are quietly the 2 most powerful offices in the entire court system. If they are honest and function correctly, they are powerful guiding forces to keep the court system fair, above board, and respected by the public. But they are corrupted and are used to target or protect attorneys and judges. The court system then and is now a tool of criminals. Let's face it, you can make all the laws you want. Just, looting, you can make them laws uniform across the state. But if the police, and that's you, turn their lights off and lock the precinct doors, there will be looting on the streets, and that's what you're seeing. The time is now, because what you have is probably the most corrupt court system in the United States. With the most corrupt attorneys in the history of this country who go gleefully unpunished and are fully protected by those who are charged with exposing them. We now know what Senator Sampson knew in 2009 as he sat listening to our testimony, that he was a criminal who was facing substantial jail time if caught. Now he's a convicted criminal, and yet, to my knowledge, he has not been disbarred or suspended from practicing law in New York by the Disciplinary Committee. Judge Gonzalez, The current chief judge of the First Department admitted to substantial untruths on a mortgage application and to engaging in nepotism, hiring family members to do court-related jobs that in some cases they weren't qualified to even do. The report exonerating the judge conspicuously neglected to mention that his background was as a housing court judge, and therefore someone who should be conversant with mortgage law. To my knowledge, he too has received no discipline whatsoever. Yet, Judge Gonzalez has been left at the helm of the First Department, overseeing its disciplinary committee and even as the head of the appellate division, determining which lawyers should escape discipline and which should be punished. In a word, that's outrageous. Judge Lippman knew about Sampson's hearings on allegations of corruption, knew that the hearings were abruptly dropped, the testimony orphaned. He received countless pleas, from me being one of them, from legal consumers, professionals, organizations. Judge Lippman was in a position to do something about it as the chief judge of the First Department and now as the chief judge of New York State. But instead, your mission statement entirely sidesteps the question of corruption within these very offices. So here we are again today, pretending there is no corruption. Well, that we need to improve the rules. I personally, over the course of 8 long years, have submitted clear and convincing evidence, uncovering more and more in my own case alone, on how this office is run to target and protect, to enable misconduct, and in my case, to enable crimes across state lines, and worse. You owe it to the American public to squarely address the elephant in the room. You owe it to the public to address the corruption within these offices, a corruption that I have been forced to endure at deep expense to my children and myself. It crosses state lines, it involves forgeries, fake documents, fraud upon the court, a cornucopia of corruption that is flourishing and is not being stopped at all. The standard is so low that forum shopping for the easily available corrupt lawyers and judges in Manhattan Supreme Court alone is now a known attraction for big law from other states and countries, where we even see what was once the most prestigious law firm, Dewey Ballantine, corrupt and bankrupted because there is zero accountability by these lawyers and these judges. Where is the Attorney Disciplinary Committee and its counterpart, the Committee on Judicial Conduct? Where are they? The lights are out. They're not in their offices. The looting of the courts by corrupt attorneys and corrupt judges is on their watches right now as we speak. It continues apace, gleefully destroying our court system. Right now, that is your terrible legacy, and instead of addressing it, we don't want it mocked any longer in the public realm. In my response to the discipline, I'll just state then that I'm a victim of domestic violence. I have many documents going back to 2007 about the lawyers in my case who were never let out of my case, Herman Sloan, Robarge, and Sullivan. They were never let out of my case. I'm a musician. I am not a lawyer. I have no idea that a lawyer has to make a motion to be let out of the case. They are still the attorney of records in my litigation. My husband is a famous lawyer. His brothers went to law school with Bill and Hillary Clinton. These are people who are powerful, who understand the system, and they're connected. I'm not. When my husband threw me against the wall in my building, Chris Wasserstein, who was Bruce Wasserstein and Wendy Wasserstein's relative, wrote an affidavit on behalf of getting me a temporary order of protection, which Judge Evans turned down. I had to go to family court to find out I was divorced in front of Robert Stoltz because the NYPD sent me to family court to get an order of protection for myself. At that family court hearing, I found out I was divorced. What country am I in?
Yeah.